helping businesses to get business in the door, a critical skill. We've got an expert here who's going to talk about it. Giddy up. Welcome everyone to the Your Little Castle Show. Carter Rethwish, aka the Cardinal Cowboy. I've been in the lead generation business, if you will, for a long time, and so it's fun talking to other experts in that space because the game has gotten changed a little bit over here. This new thing called the interwebs, right? The internet has changed things a little bit. We brought in an expert to talk to us about strategies. There's a million of them out there. He's got some expertise in a niche, in a very cool space that does a lot of great lead gen stuff. But we call it lead gen, but bringing in business is what it amounts to. If you're a business owner, you need to have business. Here's an expert to help you. Probably coincide with a lot of stuff we talk about too. We do different things, but welcome to our studio here, our guest, Nick Epps. Nick, thanks for coming in to see us.
Absolutely, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so like I said, we put a little Facebook post out inviting some people, and we had all kinds. We've had 120 people scheduled. Finally, we got to where like there's some qualifications now because we had a little bit of people that were like, well, I've got a basement job with my mom, and there a couple of those, and we're like, hey, grow the business a little bit, come on back, and we'll talk to you. But we're focusing on some experts, and so when I saw your resume and what you do, I said, this will be a good chat we'll have here to talk about it. With that, shout out to our sponsors, Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. And if you're a business owner, you probably do own a home, and then you can put some nice furniture in there from Carroll House because you like nice things in your little castle. Brooke likes what I did there. But with that, let's put up on our TV walls your information from your websites and your social media. And it looks like you are a distributor for the same company we use, GHL. So can we say the acronym there? GHL has become one of the best platforms out there. I won't tell you the secrets what that stands for, but they are dynamite and one of the best platforms for building a business with. Let's jump right in here. Tell me, Nick, what is it that led you to this particular place in your life? And you've done well. You went into retirement and then said, hey, God called you back to come out and help some more small businesses. Give me the path. What got you started and what led you to where you're at?
So it's pretty crazy. When I came out of college, I actually moved back to St. Louis to work for Anheuser-Busch, and they basically enacted a hiring freeze. It was actually during the time where the InBev hostile takeover was taking place.
2008. I was working at AB at that time. I worked from AB from 1998 to 2008. So,
and
that's when it all happened.
Yeah, and there was other things at play, but basically ended up working for Enterprise right out the get-go because they sold me on the fact that it wasn't who you know, but what you actually do that matters, and that's how you move up. And moved up with them several times within a year and a half. Then went over to another division to get another promotion, was promoted another time over there, and was very successful. And one of my employees ended up actually going into pharmaceutical sales. Eventually I went over and did that as well. And then from there ended up working for GM Financial and was with them for 6 years before I was able to retire at 40.
Nice. And then got the calling and said, hey, I've got more work to do. Started up another company again. How did that proceed? How'd you end up?
So it was pretty wild. So original reason why I retired, my dad had a major heart attack, went into a coma. So when he got out of his coma, I was able to move him into my house, teach him how to walk again, play chess every night, and was able to get a lot of the time back that I kind of sacrificed to move ahead. When you're looking to go ahead and become extremely successful, you have to make a lot of sacrifices, do some extra work, and that was pretty much the case originally. And I was able to kind of recover some of that time and spend that time with family. And it was kind of crazy because you kind of get to a point where you almost feel like a business won't succeed if you're not there. But my team that I had at GM Financial, they backed me and were able to help, take care of some things when I wasn't there. And it kind of made me look at things a little bit differently and focus a little bit more on family. And then when I was a kid, I'd always talked about retiring at 40 years old, and everybody said, oh, that's impossible. It's crazy. But, I was smart enough to go ahead and put a lot of money towards my 401k. So, I looked at everything and I said, okay, well, I'm going to do this and spend more time with family, and actually retired at 40. So I stayed retired for a little over 2 years. And, I basically ended up having a calling. So you get to a point where, especially as a man, 70, I believe it's like 70% of men actually end up passing away within the first year of retiring, because part of our identity is what we actually do. And, a lot of people think it's kind of a weird calling from God to unretire and help small businesses. But that's only because, one, they don't own a small business. And two, it's truly a blessing to have another purpose. And when it comes to small businesses, when small businesses start off, there's razor thin margins, right? Because most small businesses, you have someone who is amazing at their craft, whether it's roofing, whether it's construction, whether they're attorneys, but they're amazing at what they do. But there's all these other aspects that actually come into play when you're actually running a business, and part of that is marketing. Well, unless you went to school for marketing, what do you know about marketing? So, and you can get on the internet, you can try and search for different advice here and there, but there's as much bad advice as there is good advice, and what works for one person isn't going to work for another person. So, basically, if a small business chooses the wrong company to work with, it can end up actually putting them under. So, that's one thing we want to do, is make sure we're able to help people thrive. Because when we help a business owner, we're not just helping that business owner put food on their table, but every employee they have. So we want to make sure that we're doing the absolute best we can for them and provide them the tools that some of these big businesses actually have. Things that I've learned over the years working for these multi-million-dollar companies, extremely successful multi-million-dollar companies, and also showing them some of the management techniques that helps as they continue to scale their business. So, but in reality, we want to go ahead and help them off first with lead generation, because once we start making people a bunch of money, then we can actually help them with everything else.
Well said, yeah. And lead generation is the key for any small business when they get started. And it's true. I like what you said about the fact that there's these tactics that are used by these big companies. The smaller businesses can use the same tactics. They just got to know where to get the resources. And it's not it's kind of a secret. I mean, you got to put your time in. You got to figure out where to go, who to trust. But as you develop those, then you can really outsmart and outperform the bigger companies, because your smaller businesses are very often very much more nimble, more quick to respond, and can get a guy like you to come in and consult them, can say, make this change, make this change, make this change, where the big guys are still going through board meetings and executive roll call to figure out who's on vacation that week or not. But I like what you're saying there. What is it about this that really fuels your passion, though? Obviously, you decided to take this on when you could have been doing other things.
So what fuels me is being able to actually help others. Since I'm from St. Louis, everybody always asks, what high school did you go to, right? Well, I went to St. Louis University High, and the Jesuit order has a motto, which is men for others. So, those basically who have the ability to do great things basically have the responsibility to do those great things. So if we don't do it, who's going to do it? So there's nothing that makes me happier than watching some of the businesses we work with develop another business or expand where they have more employees and they're able to help more people. So there's truly no feeling like it. Well, I say that because I don't have kids, right? I look forward to the day that I do, but I'm sure it's kind of like, it's Christmas time right now, and I'm sure it's kind of like when, your kid gets to open the gift that they always wanted, and, you got it for them, and, you see the smile come across their face. I imagine that feeling is the same as what I get when I get to see how successful the companies are that we work with.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally providing for an entire family many times, because many people talk about these. We have lots of guests on our show, and they say, yeah, my sister, my daughter, my son all work in the company, and then we've hired other companies or other people who become family working for the company, and it's a tight-knit group where you're really getting to help each other and put food on the table and make it all happen. So it's very rewarding. I agree with you, to work with small businesses and help them to get through. So much of the world goes on without small businesses, and the big guys do a great job, but they count on, when I worked at AB, a lot of stuff they contracted out with a lot of the local guys, and they moved to 120-day payments, all kinds of craziness. But that's the way the world is. So with that, I like to see the passion you've gotten and what kind of led you here. I'm going to pull up on the screen for a second here. You've done a great job getting some great reviews, and if you look at a lot of people, they judge very quickly based on how many reviews and what kind of reviews you've got here. But you've got 123 reviews. I like your location over there in City Place, and a ton of reviews. But also, I see you're also responding to almost every review I've seen. You've come in there taking the time to write back to some of the people you've had that you've worked with. But I'll put up on the screen here for everybody. I'll take a preview here so these people can see these live on the screen. But wow, what a response from so many people that have had such nice good things to say about you. Let me scroll this up. I just hit the button down a little bit there. But I had more than an excellent experience meeting with my screen's blocking with Kiki, and is very, very satisfied with their professionalism. She's a great representative for them and a very personable and even more importantly, very genuine. From this meeting, I can conclude that Seraphim has same and genuine, real approach, provides real value. So every one of the reviews is something like that. Well, how does that make you feel? That's got to make you feel pretty cool.
I love it. So, one of the things we like to do is with 95% of our products, we actually offer a 30-day risk-free trial. So that way people get to see exactly what the return on investment would be before they pay us a dime. All they're responsible for is ad spend, and that ad spend is when someone actually calls to inquire about their services or book an appointment, or text about their services or book an appointment. We're a Google partner, an ACL partner, and a Microsoft partner, so we do these programs in conjunction with them. We've also recently become a Reddit partner, and we're looking at becoming a partner with Nextdoor as well. So with Meta, we've backed away from them a little bit due to some targeting concerns that we started to notice. And we attended a convention recently in Miami to go ahead and see how we can kind of get around those targeting concerns. So you'll probably see us actually add that as a service again back on the website in the near future. But until we can make sure that our clients were going to get the return on investment they need, we want to back away from it for basically temporarily.
Yeah, well, there's so many options out there, so many opportunities for people to market. But yeah, I mean, Facebook changes their targeting all the time, and how it is that you can, and then the rules got in with how much information, and was it too personal, or what are you sharing, and all the way down to how much of the income and their education. But it's just really interesting to see how that can all be managed to help drive the right kind of traffic to the websites, and then convert those visitors into leads, and then that conversion rate we talk about it, I'm sure, is a big stat for you guys too. Well, very exciting stuff, and a lot of excitement for me, because this is what you'd really do to get to help small businesses, and there's lots of money to be made out there if you do this stuff the right way. With that, we're going to share a little bit of the fun we had out in the community recently. Charity event over the summer a few months ago, where we were helping Will Be Inspired, and one of our guests was out there as a guest at the golf tournament that they had, and shared some of his thoughts about the event. Check it out.
Okay.
Hey everybody, it's John Fogarty. Thank you. You're kind of a musician on the side, right?
Yeah, I'm going to sing a little bit later today, but not until after the golf.
Right. Summit, great organization. We love you guys. Great interview we had.
Yeah, we had a great time on the podcast.
That was fun, man. That aired on ABC about 6 months ago.
Yeah, probably 6 months ago. It was right fall, I think. So okay. Maybe a little more.
Well, you guys do good work. Tell me why you love this event here. You're supporting Will.
Yeah, so Will Be Inspired golf tournament. Veterans, first responders, 100% of everything goes right back into it. So always support the best and try to take care of ours and take care of us. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. There we go. All right, everybody. We'll be back for more. Giddy up.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey, we're looking for the small business owners and leaders in our community to be on our show. This is the Your Little Castle Show. We air 3 times a week, every week on ABC, and we would like to put somebody you know, or maybe it's you, who's a business owner to be on our show. You'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com, and if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. It takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show, and there is no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Check that out. Go to bigleagues.com. So there's what we're talking about. If you want to get in the big leagues, you got to learn how to master your media. So media has become such a big thing. But magnetize your media and boost it out there, because that's what you need to do these days. You can do it through social media and everything. But Cardinal Cowboy wrote the first chapter. They said, Carter, the introduction here. But you can see this is a Amazon bestseller and has really helped a lot of businesses. But I'm sitting next to an expert here that can talk about that. How has the world changed technologically in this whole social media, web search, Google search? Technology has changed the way business run these days.
I think, in the beginning, in the old days, you always wanted to start with different networking groups. And I would say the internet has become essentially its own de facto networking group. So a referral, instead of being a direct referral from an individual, it's actually the Google reviews that you just kind of showed. So
right.
People are looking for that confirmation that this is somebody we should move forward with. I think when you're dealing with social media, when you're dealing with the internet, you need to have the visibility, the credibility, and that ultimately will lead to the profitability. So I really am interested in reading the book. I think that's definitely something that could help a lot of people out there. And when it comes to the social media aspect, that's where a lot of the visibility and credibility are going to be as well.
Yeah, there's just so much that goes into it these days, and we were getting bombarded with texts and emails and Facebooks. That's why we decided to sit down and do a long format where you get somebody with a whole half an hour of discussion about what they're an expert with, instead of this quick bang snap. There's all those great programs, and they can get some definite attention drawn to you, but you want to have some substance behind it, and that's where we've decided to do this long format. We cut it up into clips and then use that format and then get the clips out there, and they drive you back to where you watch the entire interview. But tell me, give me a little cost breakdown. I mean, a lot of people can do their marketing themselves. They can do their lead generation themselves. Most people have no idea what really goes into that, right? But tell me what some of the, you talked about a little bit in the first half of the show, where people, in your case, no charge, they decide on their ad spend, but you'll set up the ads, let them run for you, then they can see some results. Give me some of the analysis and so then how that works, but because they're going to start seeing leads coming in, they're already making money and they haven't really put any money outside of money towards a spend, but they can start benefiting right away.
Exactly. So our goal is we always want to help create extra money for our clients right from the get-go. And we always want to put them in a better position after working with us than before they worked with us. So when there is no management fee in the beginning, it almost always puts somebody in a better spot. So there hasn't been really a case yet where it's put someone in the worst spot. We've worked with a couple different franchise groups who've had us do test locations for them, and over 90 days, we've averaged 70. We had 78 to 1 return on investment for the one, 73 for the other. So in those, some of them are locations inside Greater St. Louis area, some are throughout the rest of the nation. We work with people all the way from California to Florida to Boston, Oklahoma, Alabama, so Utah, Nevada, pretty much everywhere. But that's the thing is when you offer, the ability to let people see exactly what you do, one, you can't do that if you're outsourcing, right? So we don't like to outsource any of the stuff we do, which is why usually you're going to meet with my account success managers. Right now we have Lexi and we have Maddie. Both of them are awesome individuals. They are also geniuses as well. So they're right at that 140 to 148, IQ level. And it's one of those things where you're able to kind of ask them, other questions in regards to, okay, because, most small business owners, they basically want to prepare to make sure that if things go wrong, they're not bankrupt, right? So everybody kind of prepares for failure or when things go bad, but people don't really prepare for success. So when all of a sudden you have a crazy amount of success, you have to put different things into place. So, that's why we like to kind of go ahead and limit, basically the amount of time I'm individually working with the clients, just because when it comes to the regular weekly reporting that we provide, analysis of all the phone calls, we actually record all the phone calls, break down, do a scorecard of, okay, this employee, these are the 10 questions that you really want answered when someone calls. Well, when so-and-so answers the phone, their score is 7 out of 10. When the other person answers the phone, it's 6 out of 10. So you kind of, you get other things that kind of let you know, okay, this is what's going on with my employees that you don't always get to see because sometimes you're out in the field managing other employees. So we always want to try and put those things into place and provide a lot of extra benefit and give people the biggest bang for their buck. So if someone doesn't have at least a 10 to 1 return on investment, I kind of recommend basically a plan for them on what I think needs to be adjusted before we can get to that 10 to 1. And then once they actually make those adjustments, we'll go ahead and do another risk-free trial for them. So I want to make sure that people are put in a really good spot.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a pretty sophisticated outline here for people. And just to make it direct and to the point, you've said, here's the system, follow these steps, and we're going to even help you without taking any money yet and guide you the right way. And then when we get those things in place, now step up. And
we've actually, it's funny because, we've actually had some clients where they ended up with an 8 to 1 return on investment. And I told them, at this time I wouldn't move forward with us. And they're like, well, your staff works for free, like, at least let me pay this or pay that. And I'm like, listen, it's fine. I didn't create the company, for wealth. I originally retired. So to make up for the 1 out of 10 people that doesn't move forward, I'm actually taking my entire team down to the Dominican Republic in March. So that's our version of a Christmas party, is all inclusive and actually getting them some excursions and having some quality time and putting together, essentially game plans for the year. So, and then I can't pay for their significant others, as part of the company, but they were able to be invited. So some of them are going to have their significant others come as well.
There you go. Talk about team building, putting together the organization. We just came back from the Caribbean. A lot of people might have seen our little cruise. We went down there for a little bit, and business expense, write off some of that because we're going to be doing some work while we're down there and developing some of our platform. But yeah, you got to spend a little time getting to build a team and reward those who've done the good work. So it sounds like you've got a really nice system put together to handle that from all sides. Tell me then, why would you say somebody should choose you guys? What really sets you apart? It seems like a pretty good ROI, or return on investment, that you demand. What are the things that really set you apart?
I think the biggest difference is we don't outsource any of the back end. So when it comes to the Google, when it comes to the Yelp, when it comes to the Microsoft, we don't outsource any of that. A lot of other companies will outsource that just because it's cheaper for them with employee costs. The problem there is a lot of it's outsourced to India or the Philippines, and those are actually gig economies. So that person's not just working for one company, they're working for 10. Well, if you're doing one thing and it's effective, they get, a penny raise or a 5-cent raise to go ahead and do it for the other companies. Well, if everybody starts doing the same thing, does it become effective? No, it decreases in effectiveness. You always want to have something that's different, and that's why also we'll only work with 3 people per industry per zip code. Now, there are some disadvantages once you get beyond that with our Google partnership. Google actually sends out a monthly newsletter that kind of goes over different things, and it's usually about 20 pages long. Now, those 20 pages, you got to find the one paragraph that actually makes a big difference and gives you a heads up on things that are coming down the pipeline. But and that's one of the huge advantages, I'd say, working with a true Google partner compared to trying to do something on your own, is you are having constant updates on all your different Google programs. You're having constant updates with Yelp. You're having constant updates with Microsoft. So everything is always changing. So unless you're going to dedicate, hundreds and hundreds of hours every month, if you're going to be competing with everyone else out there who actually is using partners, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. So it's like trying to be a roofing company using just one screwdriver instead of a pneumatic air gun. You're not going to do quite as many roofs, right? So it's kind of the same thing. So and we try to be the most affordable Google partner out there. Actually, when it comes down to it, I want to say typically the management cost for the year for our clients is usually somewhere between $9,000 and $15,000 a year. So you can't really find a part-time employee for $9,000 to $15,000 a year that's going to help create that kind of return on investment. More or less a team of 6 people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but just then you started getting into having to pay them benefits and Social Security and all the other things that go into that. Then it's a great value to have a company like yourself that can step up. And those are reasonable charges on a monthly basis because $1,000 to make 10,000, that's a pretty good ROI, and who wouldn't want to continue with a platform that's proven that works for that? Tell me that, we've got about a minute left here, but what is the biggest mistake that people make, especially small business owners, when they're deciding to develop some lead generation, some business?
I would say the biggest mistake people make is giving up too quickly. When it comes to all your different programs, there is a certain amount of adjustments that have to take place with the AI. You have to figure out what metrics in their algorithm that they don't publish is actually important, and you have to kind of emphasize those and max those out. So if you're not familiar with that and you haven't done testing, you can end up having very minimal results if you try and do it on your own. So then all of a sudden you end up just flushing money down the toilet.
Not a good, make sure it works. Let it run, everybody. Lots to learn here. You're listening to the Your Little Castle Show. Giddy up.